Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Marvin Watts, and today I'll be talking about cold stress in the workplace. This presentation is based on guidance from OSHA and is meant to help us all stay safe while working in cold environments. What is cold stress? Cold stress happens when the skin temperature drops and your body cannot keep the internal temperature where it needs to be. This can lead to serious issues like hypothermia, frostbite, and trench foot. Things like wind, wet clothes, and even water can make cold stress worse. Here, I included 3 photos of frostbite, hypothermia, and trench foot, all giving you examples of the extents of cold stress when you let it get there or you don't prepare with proper requirements. Who is at risk? Workers at risk include those working outdoors in construction, agriculture, or delivery jobs, but it's not just outdoor work. Anyone working in cold storage units or freezer rooms are also at risk. New workers or those without proper gear are especially vulnerable. Symptoms of cold stress. Some of the first signs to watch for are shivering and feeling tired. As it gets worse, people may become confused, start to slur their speech, and lose coordination. In frostbite cases, the skin may turn pale, hard, or waxy. If you or someone you work with has these symptoms, act fast. OSHA clothing recommendations. OSHA says you should wear 3 layers of clothing. The inner layer should wick moisture away, the middle layer insulates, and the outer layer should block wind and water. Also, wear gloves, warm boots, and a hat to keep body heat in. Tight clothes should be avoided because they reduce blood flow. Ways to stay warm on the job. To stay warm, take breaks in heated areas and drink warm, sweet drinks. Don't drink caffeine or alcohol. Eat enough to keep your energy up and keep moving. But try not to sweat too much. If possible, work in teams so someone can help if needed. OSHA safety tips. Employees need to train workers on cold stress and provide the right gear. It's also important to do the most dangerous tasks during the warmest part of the day. Use heaters or wind protection when possible, and rotate workers so no one is exposed too long. Engineering and work practice controls. To protect workers, employees can set up windbreaks, warming stations, and sign reminding everyone about proper gear. Workers should also be encouraged to layer up and have dry clothes available to change into. OSHA requirements for employees. OSHA requires employees to evaluate cold stress hazards and train workers accordingly. They must provide PPE and have a plan for emergencies. Warming areas and water must be available. Workers should use a buddy system to keep each other safe. Emergency response actions. If someone shows signs of hypothermia, move them in a warm place. Remove wet clothes and wrap them in blankets. Don't rub frostbitten skin. Instead, gently warm it and get medical help. For trench foot, dry and warm their feet slowly. Always call for emergency help when symptoms are serious.
Hey guys, I'm Keith with the Basics. Today I got Mr. Mike Freeman here with Ergodyne, and we're going to take a few minutes to talk about cold stress. While OSHA does not have any specific standards regarding cold stress, they do mandate that employers provide their employees with a workplace free from recognized hazards. Anyone working in a cold environment may be at risk of cold stress. Cold stress occurs when the external elements drive down the skin temperature and eventually the body's core temperature. This may lead to serious health problems, cause tissue damage, or even death.
That's right, Keith. One key way to keep workers safe is to ensure proper PPE is worn. OSHA makes the following recommendations for working in cold environments. Starting from the top of the body and working our way down, wear a hat or a hood to help keep your whole body warmer. Hats reduce the amount of body heat that escapes from your head. If needed, use a mask to cover the face and mouth. Next, wear at least 3 layers of loose-fitting clothing. Layering provides better insulation. Use an inner layer of wool, silk, or synthetic to keep the moisture away from the body. Wear a middle layer of wool or synthetic fibers to provide insulation even when wet. And wear an outer wind and or rain protection layer that allows some ventilation to prevent from overheating. Finally, wear insulated waterproof gloves and boots to protect your hands and feet. We can also provide warming inserts for extra cold days.
Mike, thank you very much. Do appreciate that. For more information on Ergodyne's cold stress solutions and all your safety supply needs, contact Abadix today at 844-655-8277 or visit us at abadix.com. Subscribe to our channel for more great tips from Abadix.
On this slide, I'm going to be talking about what is cold stress. And cold stress happens when skin temperature drops, followed by the body temperature. It can lead to serious health issues like frostbite, hypothermia, and trench foot. And people at risk are outdoor workers in refrigerated environments or wet environments where you're working. And key symptoms are uncontrollable shivering, slurred speech, fatigue or drowsiness, confusion or poor coordination. Ways to prevent against this is dress in layers, stay dry, take warm-up breaks indoors, drink warm fluids, and eat high energy snacks, and use the buddy system. Hello, my name is Marvin Watts, and welcome to my cold stress training. Today I'm going to be going over proper clothing to wear in cold environments when you're dealing with cold stress. I'll be starting from the bottom to the top. First, I have my insulated boots on. Ideally, you want these boots to come up a little bit higher, but these go to the top of my ankle. I also have insulated socks on and an insulated line underneath my pants. These are very warm. They keep me very insulated when I'm out in cold environments. These pants are waterproof. They work in any conditions. They're also lined on the inside. Next, we're going to move to the upper part. You'll start with a waterproof top layer, and then that is also lined. Next is a warmer layer that'll keep you, it doesn't essentially have to be waterproof, but it's better if it's cotton and an insulated material. And then next is an insulated shirt that is breathable also, and it does not keep moisture in. And then you want to make sure you have gloves and a hat covering your extremities. Hello, my name is Marvin Watts. Welcome to my cold stress training. Today I'm going to be talking about improper clothing in the workplace to wear when it's cold out in your workplace. First, I'm going to start at the bottom and work my way to the top. First, I'm going to start with my tennis shoes. Ideally, you want to have insulated boots. These will keep your feet warm all throughout the day. Tennis shoes are not going to do the job when it comes to keeping your toes protected and keeping your toes warm. Next, I just have regular socks on, not insulated socks, just the normal socks you buy at your local Walmart. Ideally, you want to have insulated socks on to protect your feet. Then I don't have any underlying underlayer of insulation on underneath my pants. This is not something you want to do. You want to have an insulation on your skin, tight on your skin that's breathable, especially on your legs. Next, I'm going to go to my pants. I'm wearing pajama pants. This is not an acceptable piece of clothing against the cold. Even though they might be warm, they're not insulated and they're not going to keep you warm or safe in the workplace against cold. Next, I'm going to move to the upper body. First, you want to have gloves on. I don't have any gloves on. This is another improper way in PPE that you'd miss or someone could miss. You wouldn't want to in cold. Next, we're going to move to the top. You want a water resistant, water repellent top that's waterproof to protect you from getting wet. And also you'd want an insulated top. This isn't an insulated top, it's just a normal hoodie that you'd get at a store. And then you'd also want an insulated shirt underneath you. It's also breathable, but also keeping warmth in but moisture out. This is just a regular t-shirt. And then you'd want to wear a hat, a toboggan on your head to keep your head warm and your ears. Preferably a mask or in a gaiter would be helpful also. But if you don't have that, just make sure you have your hat on. Hello, my name is Marvin Watts. Welcome to my training video. Today I'm going to be talking about the effects of wet clothing opposed to dry clothing using the fan to represent wind chill. Wind chill can invite cold factors like hypothermia and frostbite. Wet clothing keeps heat out and makes it easier to get frostbite and hypothermia. And this can affect your nervous system and your motor function in your hands. And now I'm going to represent the effects of wind chill using the fan and some water. I'm going to use this water to dunk on my glove, and I'm going to keep this one dry. I'm going to hold it next to this fan for a few seconds to represent how cold it gets when you're faced with wet opposed to dry. And I can already feel the effects. Noticeably, my hand is a lot colder here than here. Yeah, I'm going to even hold this one closer. Yeah. So here is just a test that shows that even in a workplace for 20 seconds, when your clothing is wet opposed to dry, that you're inviting cold into your life. Here, I included a few key points with a quick true or false quiz. And yes, I know the answers are already there, but I didn't have another way to do it like that. So, frostbite can cause permanent damage to body tissue. That'll be true. One thick layer of clothing is warmer than several loose layers. That's false. Layers are better. Hypothermia only happens below freezing. False. It can happen even in cool temperatures if you are wet and exposed. OSHA requires cold stress training. That is true. And alcohol helps you stay warm. That would be false. It actually makes you lose body heat faster. And a couple of final reminders. Cold stress can be serious, but it's very preventable. Wear the right clothing, take breaks, and look out for each other. Employers and workers must work together to stay safe during the cold season. Thanks for listening, and please let me know if you have any questions.